I remember sitting in the brisk breeze at the first ever form of the Winter X Games in 1995. My grandfather sat next to me. We both looked on amazed, watching some of the best athletes compete in 27 events in 9 different categories. From that day forward, I trained myself in snowboarding halfpipe in my hometown of Aspen, Colorado, with hopes of one day competing on the Winter X Games. When Aspen was hosting the Winter X Games in 2003, it was only destiny that I could compete. By this time, cash prizes were being offered as well as medals. The media was saying that they would be giving up to $500,000 in total cash prizes. Knowing this, I knew that I would need to make a difference for not only me, but for my family. My preparation became 10 times more intense. Nailing the new fascinating tricks were hard. Knowing that I was going to be on such a big scale made me that much more nervous. The work was strenuous, but I knew that was what will take me to the top with all the greats like Shawn Palmer, who has some of the most medals in the X Games history. As it came closer to the start of the Winter X Games, the hype of my competition, the snowboard halfpipe, was rapidly growing. Shaun White was looking to take the gold in the event to make him the first ever to medal in both Winter and Summer Games. Everyone around town was even talking about how great White was, but I knew I could be better. It was now a week before the games. Media was swarming Aspen. Giant ESPN signs hung everywhere. SPT, the makers of the courses for the games, were just finishing up everything. Game time was so close. I could feel it in my hands. It was so close. 3 days before the games, we had a beautiful snow putting a nice powder over all the courses. By this time, all the other athletes were arriving and getting some test runs in on their courses. One day before the games, I swear there's never been so many people in Aspen before in my life. Every hotel was packed full. Every store was having to restock constantly. Life in Aspen seemed to be turning upside down. It was the morning of the first day of the X Games. Every athlete was out taking test runs. I only took one run. I nailed every trick and knew that would be good for the day. The halfpipe event was scheduled for the third and fourth day. This meant it would be the closer to the Great X Games. Colorado didn't help things during the first day. Extreme winds caused blizzard-like conditions at times. It was finally the third day of the games. All of the competitors sat with me at the top of the mountain. I could feel every butterfly on my stomach. It was finally my turn. I was about the sixth person to go. I nailed the first run down. I made a high enough score to make the finals. When the next day came, it was a bright sunny day. By the time the competition rolled around, there was no wind and the lights were bright. All the other competitors made their way down the pipe, setting the standard for everyone else. I got into the starting gate. I felt like I was going to puke. I was so nervous. Finally, I took off. My speed was great. I came to the pipe. All of a sudden, I started to come down the pipe for the first jump. My front toe buried itself. I fell and was already done for my first run. I was so embarrassed. I could hear the crowd laughing at me. I felt like my life was over. I had one last run. From the luck of the draw, I was scheduled to go last after Shaun White. Shaun smashed his second run and was set to win gold. I took off from the start. My speed was rapidly increasing. I finally was running down the halfpipe for my first jump. I nailed it. Then I perfectly executed my next 4 jumps. By this time, I was towards the bottom of the track. I still had some speed, so I went for one last jump, the triple cork. I did the trick perfectly and landed. I sat at the bottom of the hill, like all other athletes had for the last 8 years. The score seemed to come as fast as a turtle. Finally, the announcer came over and announced my score. I had the highest score. I won the gold. To this day, I, Shaun White, still feel the sensation of getting the gold hung around my neck. Hopefully, this will be the first of many gold medals.